back to Breaking Black Podcast. You are here with your host, Tina G, and we are welcoming back Al to the show. Now, Al is a father, a husband, and a grandfather. And today's episode, we're going to be talking about fatherhood and sort of what that means to be in situations where, you are seen as a father figure, and maybe even a mentor in certain spaces within your own community. Al, you are a husband, a father, and a grandfather. I'm sure that you have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to the subject of fatherhood. And I definitely would like to hear from you in particular, because, there's been a lot of talk when it comes to parenting in terms of, our Black men and fathers, and even some of our young men being raised in fatherless households. And these are just some of the plights that we struggle with. I also would like to speak to it from a positive space. I had a great father figure in my life. I talked about it in a previous co-parenting episode. I also had a stepfather that was very instrumental in helping to raise me in my life, and kind of, gave me this extended family, that has always been there to support me. And so I kind of want to shed a light on both sides of the conversation. So I do have this video that I want to play, and I'd love to hear your thoughts.
We should be leading in our house. That doesn't mean that we do it all. It means that we are covering it all, that we are in the know. We are, when it comes to parenting, when it comes to raising our sons and raising our daughters, there is a deposit that only the father can make. And it's not better than your deposit, but we need that deposit to be equal. I just feel like we're burning ladies out because they're doing so much while Bubba sit around and he work all day. Okay, you work all day, she work all day, and you come home and watch TV the rest of the evening while she cook, take care of the kids, do homework. Something wrong with that picture. So if you both are in the home, I'm not saying the division of labor needs to be right down the middle, because we all have different.
We're all unique.
Yeah, we're all unique, and maybe I can handle a little bit more than you, and vice versa. But I know we need to have real conversations concerning how do we manage this family in balance.
I believe that there are too many men that come home and sit down and watch TV, and if you're not participating in your kid's life, that's where the problems start. To be honest with you, you have to lead. I think that's the biggest thing. You have to lead. When men get things twisted, when you want change in your house, you have to lead the change. You have to start doing the things that you want everyone else to do. You have to be consistent in those things, and you have to be the one that's gonna to focus on the change and make sure that everyone else is following the same path. As a man, that's those things that you have to do. Like he said, a woman comes home and she's starting to cook, clean, take care of the kids, get them baths and all these things. And if you're not doing anything, what is that kid learning? He's learning the same thing that you're doing. Which is pretty much nothing, you know what I'm saying? So, your kids see everything that you do and say in your home. I don't care how quiet or you trying to talk, they hear all of that stuff and they see that stuff. So if your actions is not meeting what you're trying to tell them, if you're trying to say, hey, this is what needs to be done around here, and you're not even participating in anything that needs to be done, they're not going to take certain things serious all the time. You know what I'm saying? So you have to lead in that way to let them understand that for change, it starts with me. I'm about to make the change. This is what we're going to start doing. We're going to start eating better. So that means that I'm not buying no more junk for the house. We're going to eat vegetables, food, healthy foods, you know what I'm saying, to eat right and have better habits. As a man, you definitely have to lead. And I think that's the problem in a lot of relationships. Men aren't leading. And a lot of times, too, sometimes now, the way that, society is, women are stronger now. They can do some certain things. But those stronger women, when they start taking over the male traits, then it becomes harder in the relationship. So, we have to be careful as men. We want to make sure that you do the things that you're supposed to do so your lady don't become, masculine in that way.
Now, in the video, he talked about it in a sense of your traditional roles, or what people would deem as sort of your 50-50 dichotomy. You have daughters. but you've also just as a man experienced what it's like to have that father-son, bond. Parenting multiple daughters, do you feel that there's a difference in the way that, men parent their daughters, how they respond to their daughters? Do you ever kind of feel the pressure of what it is to be sort of like that example that they would, need to see in order to facilitate, healthier relationships in the future?
Let me see it's a little tricky. For example, I was a father figure to a brother who I was 14 and a half years older than. Help raising him was totally different than raising my daughters. Okay, I couldn't talk to them the way I talked to him. I can be direct with him. He understood, he knew, and it was fine. I could talk to him in the stern voice. Didn't matter. He understood it, and we had an understanding. But my daughters, I realized I couldn't talk to them in the same manner. So I had to talk to them differently, but I still had to give them the same principles. One thing I do is I try to teach my daughters when they were younger, and even to this day, let them know that how you want to be treated, you have to represent that. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is, I tell my daughters, always be a lady. If you always carry yourself like a lady, the guy has to treat you as such. And if he doesn't, then that's not the guy for you, first and foremost. So he has to treat you as such. I tell them, if that guy is doing half the things I'm doing, if he's doing some of the things that I'm doing, let's just say majority of the things that I'm doing. Now, he was raised right, but that don't mean he right. His actions has to speak louder than his words. So I teach my daughters how to carry themselves. And I tell them all, a man, if you have a boyfriend, husband, whatever, and you ask him for something, most of the time he wants to do it anyway. Okay? But it's how it's presented to him. If he's thinking that if he's feeling used, then it's not going to work. If he's feeling unappreciative, it's not going to work. So if you're carrying yourself as a lady at all times, everything should be working out in your favor because you're carrying yourself to a certain standard, and that man has to keep up with that and help you keep up with that and elevate you because he wants to elevate himself as well. So he has to keep up with that and show you those things. So I taught my daughters how I would want, a young lady or a woman growing up to be a woman to act around me or what would attract me to see. Because a lot of times when you get older, you understand that it's the little things that matter more than all the glit and glamour. From a woman, it's the little things that matter. Is her heart pure? Is she a virtuous woman? You know what I'm saying? Those things really matter when it's all said and done. That's just where I'm at in that aspect. Like I said, I think that they, if you carry yourself right and you teach your kids, like I said, since I have daughters, it's a different way. Like my daughters understand, they know we're going out somewhere. I'm opening doors. I'm being a gentleman to them all the way through. So they expect that with their mates. And I've seen that where my daughters walk up to a door and turn and don't open the door. They won't open them themselves because they know I always do it. So they look at their mate and he's doing it too. You know what I'm saying? So the things that you teach them, they will understand and they will make sure that the other guys in their lives that come behind you will do the same thing or better.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that wholeheartedly. I mean, my father's in his 70s and he still opens, and closes my car doors. And I've always had that expectation. I feel like once you're shown what it is for a man to be a gentleman and to be chivalrous, it's like it's only second nature that you have that expectation, when you're dating and when you're growing up. That's why I think it's so instrumental for, they in society, they talk a lot about, men being present fathers, but I also for their sons, but I also feel that there is definitely a high level of importance for men to father their daughters, because I think that as we grow up, we definitely learn how we're supposed to be treated, what our value is, and sort of what the expectation should be in terms of our relationships from our fathers, or at least the father figures, in our lives. And as an African American man, do you see any disparities between like what the expectations are for you as a Black father versus, you know, what maybe society looks at in terms of fatherhood in general? Do you feel any additional pressures?
I don't feel more pressure. I will tell you that. I think being Black and a Black man is all the pressure I need. So any pressure being a father or a father figure, I think that is important. I think that it's needed, and I think that without it, you're missing something, and that's with young ladies and young men. You're missing something if you don't have that, and it's a vital part that you're missing. Like if you think about how, if you have a kid and if the father's not there, let's just say he's not there for 6 months to a year, or let's just say a year he comes around and wants to spend with his baby. He missed so much time in that 1 year. He missed so much time. When you've been there for the birth of your children, you understand that how much time you can miss, and you can never get that back. And all those times are learning moments and training moments for your kids. Those things are what helps you gear them to be better than you. Because I believe, as a parent, I believe most parents want their children to be better than them. I do. I want my kids to be better than me. I want them to be better in every aspect. Better person, better parent, better everything. I want the best for them. But you know what I'm saying? But if I didn't show them and teach them, and their mother didn't show them and teach them, who else is going to do it? The streets. And we already know that can go left real quick. So I don't have more pressure. I think that it's pressure that's within, and as a man, we deal with pressure. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have pressure your whole life. You know what I'm saying? And one more thing, you said that you had a good raising with your father, and then you had a good stepfather. Those things was vital if you think about that in your life. You know what I'm saying? Your father being a good man, good father, provider, just being there for you in need and when you can talk to, and then you having a stepfather that's following the same patterns. You don't get that all the time. You know what I mean? So I think that you learned some good things from both of the men, and those things are, like you said, they carry through with you as an adult.
I think that's really powerful. I ran across this video on TikTok, and it really spoke to me in terms of this particular topic, because it was a young African-American woman expressing kind of like what it felt like for her to be in a situation without her father being present. And as an African-American, man and father, if you have any like advice or any suggestions, after hearing this video, I would love to see kind of what your take is on that, even for our viewers that may be watching this. And so I'm going to play this video. I want you to take a look at it and give me your thoughts about it.
She never had to look for a man's affection or attention because she received so much of it from her father growing up. I started reading Diane von Furstenberg's The Woman I Want to Be, and I'm still reading it, so no spoilers, but and I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but she talks about her dad and how her dad always gave her so much love and attention that she really, growing up, she never needed it from a man, or she knew what to look for and what not to look for. And if any of these girls on here, or if any of you girls are like me and didn't really grow up with their dad, it's like inevitable that you look for that love and that attention from men who may or may not give it to you. And I'm not a therapist or anything like that, but as I'm getting older, I'm really starting to like follow the signs and follow certain cues and be like, wow, like, why do I always find guys who like want to love bomb me kind of in the beginning of things and, share all this love and all this attention and stuff to me, but then like pull it back. But I'm also so accepting of someone just being so kind because I grew up without a dad and I don't really know what that looks like. I don't know what it looks like to have a man like truly show you that type of love. She never.
Wow, that was good. I would say that it's two things. She said her father showed her love, and that has to happen. As a father, you have to show your daughters love them, and you have to encourage them, and you have to build confidence in your kid. I remember as being a kid, you know how when you're young, let's just say maybe about 5, and your parents, you know, give you a bath, and you know, and you're getting out, your mother's drying you off, lotioning you up. And I remember my mother used to, you know, put lotion on my face and put some, back in the day, it was Vaseline in my hair. You know what I'm saying? Kind of maybe wipe it all over your body, because that stuff was used for everything. You'd be shining like a copper penny. But you get, you know what I'm saying? But she used to comb my hair out and look at me and tell me, boy, you are a handsome young man. She used to tell me that all the time. You know what I'm saying? And so I believed that when I got older. When I was in elementary, junior high school, I believed that. I believed that wholeheartedly. Like, you couldn't tell me that I wasn't a handsome man growing up. So now, fast forward, I have children. I tell my daughters, you are so beautiful. You're so beautiful. And I love you. You are so smart. You know what I'm saying? And I tell them, I said, now, if I tell you that you're beautiful and you're beautiful, and you walk outside the door and 10 people tell you you're not, who are you going to believe? And my daughter used to go, you. I said, well, why you believe me? Because you're my dad. But why? Because you're not going to tell me nothing that's not true. Exactly. So if you believe what I'm telling you, it doesn't matter what someone else outside tells you or says about you, because now you know it's in your heart. You believe that it's there. That would carry you so far. Now, secondly, that young lady said, you know, she didn't feel some things, but she's searching for what she's looking for. That's one of the most awesomest things ever. She got a book. She, you know what I'm saying? She's learning. She's trying to acquire knowledge and trying to be better and trying to understand how she can find something that she's looking for. Sometimes, you know, let it come to you, but she's saying that, you know, she's only been loved by her father in a certain way. And she wants that from, I guess, a partner. Okay? You have to be patient. And sometimes, you know, I'm going to keep it 100. In today's society, you have to keep your legs closed, because that's what everybody wants. That's what men want. That's the first thing. I don't care how much they come up to you and talk to you. That's what they want. So if you want to find somebody that's righteous and honest, if you take that out of the equation, he has to be honest and righteous with you and show you his true intentions. So that's what, you know, so that will help you in that aspect as well. So I think she's doing a good job as well. She's seeking knowledge and she's trying to be better. But a lot of times you have to kind of, you know, the urge of the physical is powerful, and people don't understand that when you take that out of the equation, you can find out if a person really likes you for you. You know, so that's where I'm at.
And I also feel like there's, you know, a lot of people who, you know, only want that and have no intention on, you know, building a relationship, building family, building to marriage. And so I know that there are a lot of fatherless daughters out there, and there are a lot of people that may not have had, you know, an instrumental male figure in their lives. But when you're going out there and you're looking for a partner or you're looking for love, you also have to understand that the greatest love that you can receive, well, is love from God, but the second greatest love that you can receive is the love that you give yourself. And oftentimes, if you do not treat yourself the way that you anticipate your partner treating you, if you do not have that level of self-love, that self-awareness, that self-assuredness, that self-confidence, that self-esteem, and that self-worth, if you don't value what's within, it's going to be very difficult to get somebody else to value that, but it's also going to be extremely difficult to attract someone who sees the value in you if you do not see the value in yourself. And so if, you know, we're speaking to the women out there that may not have benefited from having, you know, a very instrumental father figure in their lives, I would say to you, much like the young lady is doing, you have to go on a journey of self-discovery. You know, and discover who you are, discover what you want, discover what is important to you, what's going to bring you happiness, who you are, who you aspire to be. And I think a lot of the love that you look for externally, if you provide it to yourself internally, you know, that love that you find externally is going to be an extension of that self-love that you have. And I also think having that level of self-love and seeing the value in yourself, it also helps you to be a better partner as well. A lot of people don't understand that that is the key to happiness in a relationship. The happiness and the joy in a relationship, the fulfillment in a relationship, it doesn't always come from the other person. It's something that you have to instill within yourself. And it's something that you often give to your partner in order to also receive it. So I think that that's like a beautiful space, to be in, that she's that young and kind of just reading this book and exploring, like, sort of, learning the bits and pieces that she feels that she may be missing, but also acknowledging and understanding, on the work that she has to do on herself in order to get herself to the space, where she aspires to be.
She was on the right path to finding what she wants. And like you said, just self-love. No one can love you better than you can love yourself. So if you don't love yourself, like you said, how can you attract people to love you the way you want to be loved if you don't love yourself that way? So you definitely need that, and those type of attractions come when you're doing what you should be doing and want to do, and know what you want to do. So it was good. She was on the right path, I believe.
I agree. I'm glad that we had this conversation. I know we have people from all different walks of life and all different ages that are tuning into the show, but I hope that we were able to provide some communication, healthy communication that'll get people moving in, the right direction and exploring those relationships. I've gone through challenges even with, my parents and, father-daughter relationship, but I feel like, oftentimes when you open up your heart, and embrace having a level of understanding and forgiveness, it can also help to start, healing some of those broken relationships, or, maybe even healing some of those wounds that you may be feeling internally. So I want to encourage anyone out there that might be struggling from that space, that, you can always open up the door of communication and just leave yourself open to the possibilities of things changing and going in a more positive direction. It's like a lot of times we go through different, periods of our life that take us through different types of challenges, but you also have to have like a renewed mindset and a renewed spirit. And, if you are able to forgive a person for their wrongdoings and that person comes into your life and they want to make amends, a lot of times that's a space for healing also. Drop us a comment. Let us know what you thought about this episode. I encourage you to stay tuned for more with Breaking Black Podcast. Again, you can follow us on all social media. We are on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as making sure you subscribe to our other pages, which are Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and Patreon. Thank you for tuning into our show. We'll be back with more this season. Stay tuned.